The glittering world of global celebrity often appears from the outside to be an impenetrable fortress of mutual admiration, shared privilege, and unbreakable alliances formed under the intense glare of the public eye. We look at the red carpets, the exclusive galas, and the highly publicized gatherings of the rich and famous, imagining that these bonds are forged in the fires of shared experience and a unique understanding of what it means to live life as a household name. In this rarefied atmosphere, friendships are not merely personal connections. They are powerful symbols of status, influence, and alignment. For years, the intersection of British royalty and Hollywood royalty represented the absolute pinnacle of this cultural elite, a seamless blending of traditional heritage and modern glamour that captivated millions around the globe. When high-profile figures from different spheres of immense success come together, the world watches with bated breath, assuming that such monumental relationships are destined to endure the tests of time, media scrutiny, and changing circumstances. Yet, behind the carefully curated photographs and the polite public statements lies a much more complex and volatile reality, where the pressures of maintaining an unblemished public image constrain even the most promising connections to their absolute breaking point. It is a world where trust is the ultimate currency, and once that currency is devalued, the collapse of an alliance can be as spectacular and sudden as its inception was grand. To truly understand how these massive rifts occur, one must look closely at the subtle shifts in behavior, the unspoken tensions, and the gradual accumulation of grievances that happen far away from the cameras. In the quiet corners of sprawling estates and exclusive private clubs where the real decisions are made. If you find yourself fascinated by the intricate dynamics of high society, the hidden narratives behind the headlines, and the fascinating truth about how the world's most prominent figures navigate their personal and professional lives, please take a brief moment to subscribe to our channel, as your support allows us to continue bringing you these deeply researched, comprehensive, and engaging stories from the heart of modern culture. As we begin to peel back the layers of this fascinating societal dynamic, we must look at the geographic and social landscapes that these figures occupy. Landscapes that are both incredibly small and vastly consequential. Imagine a sunny afternoon in Southern California, where the rolling hills of Montecito and the sprawling estates of Los Angeles house some of the most influential individuals on the planet. In this ultra-exclusive enclave, proximity is everything, yet it can also highlight the profound distances that can open up between people who once shared common ground. It is an environment where an invitation to a private gathering is not just a social gesture, but a profound statement of validation and inclusion, while the absence of such an invitation speaks volumes to those who know how to read between the lines. For a long time, the public witnessed what seemed to be an ideal alignment of mutual respect and shared history, a relationship that bridged the gap between traditional British institutions and the fast-paced world of global sports and fashion. The individuals involved had reached the very zenith of their respective fields, earning admiration not just for their titles or their past achievements, but for their relentless work ethic, their global brand appeal, and their ability to capture the public imagination across multiple decades. When figures of this magnitude align, it creates a powerful cultural narrative that seems almost unshakable, a testament to the idea that true success recognizes and supports true success across all boundaries and disciplines. However, the nature of modern fame is inherently fragile. Built upon a delicate foundation of public perception, personal loyalty, and the constant management of one's inner circle. In the highest echelons of society, the people you surround yourself with are viewed as a direct reflection of your own values, your ultimate goals, and your overall stability. When rumors begin to circulate about quiet withdrawals, missed events, and a sudden chilling of once warm relationships, the public is often left to wonder what could possibly cause such a significant shift between individuals who seemed to have every reason to remain united. The answer often lies not in a single explosive argument, but in a slow, compounding series of missteps, a fundamental mismatch in philosophies of life, and a growing realization that the foundations upon which the friendship it was built may have been far more superficial than initially believed. It is a story of shifting priorities, where the desire for peace, positivity, and constructive growth begins to clash violently with an environment that seems perpetually mired in conflict, grievance, and a seemingly endless cycle of personal and public tribulations. As the social distance between these two camps began to widen, observers noted that while one group continued to expand their global influence through tangible achievements and prestigious new ventures, the other appeared increasingly isolated, retreating into a smaller, more defensive posture that naturally alienated those who preferred a life defined by forward momentum rather than retrospective justification to fully appreciate the gravity of this unfolding social drama. One must understand the unwritten rules of engagement that govern the lives of the truly successful. In these circles, energy is a finite and precious resource, highly guarded by individuals who have spent decades building their empires through discipline, focus, and a relentless commitment to excellence. Those who have climbed to the top of the mountain through sheer determination and hard work often develop a low tolerance for perpetual negativity, finding themselves naturally drawn to peers who uplift, inspire, and bring a sense of constructive collaboration to the table. When a relationship begins to feel less like a mutually beneficial partnership and more like a heavy emotional burden characterized by constant complaints and an insatiable appetite for conflict, the instinct for self-preservation inevitably kicks in. This subtle but powerful shift in energy marks the true beginning of the end for many high-profile friendships. As the realization sets in that some connections are simply too costly to maintain, regardless of the history they share or the public expectations that surround them, the stage was thus set for a quiet but definitive realignment, a drawing of boundaries that would send shockwaves through the social registers of both London and Los Angeles, proving that in the world of the global elite, respect must be earned continuously. And loyalty is a two-way street that cannot be sustained by past glory or titles alone. The breakdown of a high-profile relationship among the global elite rarely happens in a vacuum, nor does it occur without a series of specific, deeply troubling behavioral patterns coming to light. When we examine the first major catalyst for this profound social separation, we find ourselves confronting a concept often described in modern psychological terms as emotional exhaustion, or more colloquially, a form of social fatigue that drains the vitality from everyone in its vicinity. For individuals who have spent their entire lives navigating intense public pressure while building massive commercial empires, life is a constant exercise in focus, discipline, and the maintenance of an optimistic, forward-looking mindset. In these rarefied social circles, conversations are expected to be mutually uplifting, centered on shared achievements, creative ventures, and constructive support for one another's ambitious goals. However, when a relationship becomes entirely dominated by a heavy, unyielding stream of grievances, constant defensiveness, and an insatiable appetite for personal drama, the fundamental nature of the bond begins to rot from within. True friends are meant to serve as a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world, providing a space of comfort and positive reinforcement, rather than acting as a perpetual echo chamber for bitterness, perceived slights, and an endless list of complaints against institutions and individuals alike. When every interaction begins to feel like an exhausting emotional weight, where compliments are entirely absent and every conversation is bent towards self-pity. The instinct of highly successful people is to quietly but firmly step away to protect their own peace of mind and their hard-earned professional focus. This continuous exhaustion leads directly into the second profound issue that severed these legendary ties. A deeply entrenched atmosphere of intense paranoia and systematic alienation that began to redefine the social landscape of the individuals involved. Trust is the rarest and most valuable commodity in the world of celebrity, a delicate shield that requires years to construct but only a single moment of betrayal to shatter into 1,000 pieces. When public figures begin to exhibit signs of an all-consuming suspicion, turning their gaze inward and casting doubt upon the very people who have supported them through thick and thin, the social structure supporting them inevitably begins to collapse. This defensive posture manifested in a tragic, widespread pattern of cutting ties, a rapid and dramatic dismantling of relationships that spared no one, extending from dedicated professional staff who had given years of loyal service to the most intimate circles of family. To witness individuals severing connections not just with one family network, but across two entirely separate familial lineages, while simultaneously pushing away lifelong friends and trusted advisors, sends a chilling message to the rest of high society. This systematic isolation creates a highly toxic reputation, causing peers to look on with a mixture of bewilderment and caution, wondering if they too will eventually be cast as villains in a manufactured narrative of betrayal. No one in the upper echelons of influence desires to walk on eggshells, constantly fearing that an innocent comment or a minor misunderstanding will result in a public denunciation, or an icy permanent banishment from a social circle they once valued as this isolation deepened. It gave rise to a rigid, uncompromising ultimatum that forms the third major pillar of this historic falling out. A philosophy that can be summarized as an absolute demand for total, unquestioning allegiance. In the complex web of international society, friendships are naturally fluid and multifaceted, allowing mature individuals to maintain separate, independent connections with various factions without causing offense or demanding exclusive loyalty. However, a destructive mindset began to emerge, one that forced mutual acquaintances to make an impossible binary choice, declaring that to remain a friend to one party meant an automatic and permanent forfeiture of friendship with the other. This heavy-handed, dictatorial approach to social relationships was particularly damaging when applied to long-standing, deeply respected figures within the British establishment. Individuals who had earned their place through decades of service, sportsmanship, and impeccable public conduct. To tell a globally revered couple that their decades of mutual respect, shared history, and ongoing collaboration with the traditional hierarchy must be instantly sacrificed at the altar of personal grievance is an extraordinary display of entitlement. True friendship is built upon a foundation of reciprocity, a healthy two-way street where support, admiration, and attention are balanced equally between both parties. When a relationship is twisted into a one-sided emotional clearinghouse, functioning more like a permanent therapy session where one side demands endless validation, constant defense, and supreme attention while offering absolutely nothing in return, the partnership loses all equilibrium and becomes entirely unsustainable. Beyond the emotional and psychological friction, we must also confront the stark reality of the fourth major factor, which is the rapidly widening chasm in actual achievement, work ethic, and societal standing that began to separate these two couples. In the world of true global influence, respect is not a birthright, nor can it be permanently sustained by an inherited title or a past association. It must be earned every single day through tangible results, relentless drive, and a commitment to excellence. One couple had spent a quarter of a century building a legendary global brand from the ground up, transitioning seamlessly from the demanding world of professional sports and international music into the equally cutthroat industries of global fashion, luxury cosmetics, and massive multimedia production houses. Their success was the direct result of grueling schedules, sharp business acumen, and an unwavering discipline that earned them the genuine respect of the world's most powerful executives and creative minds. On the other side of the divide, there appeared to be a profound, almost delusional expectation that immense success, cultural relevance, and universal admiration should be handed over effortlessly, simply as a consequence of status and public profile, rather than through hard work and creative output. This fundamental difference in philosophy created an intellectual and professional gap so immense that it rendered meaningful, peer-to-peer conversation nearly impossible, highlighting a bizarre contrast between international business tycoons and individuals whose daily achievements seemed trivial, superficial, and entirely detached from the realities of building a lasting, impactful legacy. This profound gap in values and maturity ultimately manifested in the fifth and most unforgivable transgression, which was a shocking display of personal disrespect that shattered the final remnants of mutual trust and goodwill. The relationship had once been strong enough to warrant a highly coveted invitation to the spectacular royal wedding of 2018, an event that seemed to cement this grand alliance in the eyes of the public. In the aftermath of that historic day, a genuine effort was made to extend a warm, helping hand, offering valuable industry insights, fashion expertise, and access to exclusive networks to help the newcomer navigate the complex pressures of a massive new public role. Rather than receiving this generous mentorship with gratitude and grace, the gesture was met with a wave of dark suspicion and wild accusations, with claims being made that these kind offers were merely a cynical ploy to exploit the situation for corporate promotion and brand advancement. The situation escalated to an astonishing level of hostility when a direct accusatory phone call was placed, confronting a legendary sports icon with baseless allegations of leaking private information to the media. This volatile accusation, which was later clumsily blamed on a low-level staff member in an attempt to walk back the damage, proved to be the absolute point of no return. For a family that prides itself on absolute discretion, flawless manners, and a fierce, unbroken loyalty to their inner circle, this public and private disrespect was an insult that could not be overlooked, bringing a cold, permanent end to a friendship that had once captivated the world. To truly understand the finality of this historic social separation, one must look closely at who these individuals are when the cameras are turned off, examining the deep-seated values and long histories that make this particular rift so representative of a much larger cultural shift. The individuals who chose to draw a firm, permanent line in the sand are not merely wealthy celebrities, they are cultural institutions whose entire lives have been defined by an unshakable dedication to discipline, public service, and an impeccable sense of decorum. Looking at the background of the legendary sports icon involved, his journey from a working-class childhood in London to the absolute pinnacle of global athletic and business success is a masterclass in perseverance. For over 2 decades on the football pitch, he was celebrated not just for his extraordinary talent and precision, but for his fierce loyalty to his teammates, his managers, and his country, understanding from a very young age that no individual is ever bigger than the collective team. This foundational belief carried over seamlessly into his post-sporting career, where he meticulously built a sprawling commercial empire based on mutual trust, long-term partnerships, and a reputation for being an incredibly reliable, polite, and respectful collaborator in every venture he touched. Similarly, his partner in life and business rose to fame during a revolutionary era in pop culture. becoming a global symbol of female empowerment and style before executing one of the most successful professional transitions in modern history. Shifting from the fast-paced world of music into the notoriously cutthroat and cynical environment of high fashion, she silenced critics through sheer, unrelenting hard work, showing up to her design studios every single day, mastering the intricacies of production, and earning the genuine respect of the fashion elite through her humility, her dedication, and her absolute discretion. Together, this couple created a family dynamic built on a foundation of intense loyalty to their inner circle, protecting their friends fiercely and expecting that same level of absolute trust, privacy, and quiet respect in return. For individuals who have spent their entire lives operating under these strict honorable principles, the introduction of unpredictable behavior, public outbursts, and baseless accusations of betrayal was not just a minor social annoyance. It was a direct, fundamental violation of their core belief system. When we contrast this lifelong commitment to hard work and discretion with the behavioral patterns that began to emerge from the other side of the divide, the inevitability of the collapse becomes glaringly obvious. The individuals who found themselves excluded from the elite social calendars of California had taken a vastly different path, one characterized by rapid ascents, sudden breaks with tradition, and a growing reliance on public victimhood rather than tangible, constructive achievement. The background of the former actress reveals a career spent navigating the competitive waters of television, a profession that demands a high degree of self-promotion, but does not always prepare an individual for the immense institutional responsibilities of joining a centuries-old royal family. Upon entering that grand world, rather than embracing the quiet dignity, patient service, and historical perspective required by the institution, there appeared to be an immediate desire to modernize, commercialize, and center the narrative around personal feelings and individual branding. Her partner, born into an unimaginable world of hereditary privilege and historic duty, had lived his entire life under the protective umbrella of the crown, yet he increasingly appeared to view his heritage not as a profound responsibility to be honored, but as a source of deep-seated resentment and personal trauma that needed to be aired continuously on a global stage. When these two distinct worlds collided, the initial optimism of a grand alliance quickly dissolved into a stark realization that their fundamental values were completely incompatible. The royal couple's subsequent and highly publicized departure from their official duties, followed by a relentless media campaign filled with explosive interviews, memoirs, and documentary series targeting their own flesh and blood, sent shockwaves through the global elite. For serious business tycoons and established public figures, watching individuals systematically dismantle their own family structures for public consumption was a massive, unmistakable red flag. It signaled to the entire world that if these individuals were willing to publicly expose and criticize their closest relatives, no friend, no matter how influential or supportive, would ever be safe from future betrayal or public exposure. The global elite watched this unfolding spectacle with growing discomfort, recognizing that true power and lasting influence are built on stability, discretion, and constructive progress, not on a perpetual cycle of public recrimination, institutional warfare, and emotional volatility. The broader cultural significance of this falling out extends far beyond a simple story of elite social snobbery, serving as a powerful turning point in the modern landscape of fame, influence, and public perception. For years, the public has been told that the ultimate goal of celebrity is the maximization of attention, a philosophy that suggests any headline is a good headline and that constant public drama is the key to remaining relevant in a fast-moving digital world. However, this historic rift proves that at the very highest levels of society, an entirely different set of rules applies. Rules where character, consistency, and a positive, hard-working energy are the true currencies of long-term success. The quiet exclusion of the controversial couple from major events, gatherings, and inner circles up and down the coast of California was a collective, unspoken verdict delivered by the world's most successful people. It was a clear demonstration that high society has a very low tolerance for perpetual negativity, and that no matter how grand your titles or how loud your public statements may be, you cannot force your way into spaces where respect must be earned through actions, dignity, and a genuine commitment to the upliftment of those around you. Ultimately, this story serves as a profound reminder of the timeless truth that friendships, no matter how glamorous or highly publicized they may appear on the surface, can only survive when they are anchored in mutual respect, shared maturity, and a balanced exchange of positive energy. As one couple continues to thrive on the world stage, expanding their businesses, celebrating major family milestones with grace, and strengthening their ties to traditional and modern institutions alike, the other remains increasingly isolated within their own fortress of grievances, watching the world move forward without them. The lesson is clear. For all who observe the glittering world of global celebrity, true status is not defined by the drama you create or the attention you demand, but by the legacy of hard work you leave behind and the loyalty of the friends who stand by your side through the quiet moments of life. Far away from the blinding glare of the public eye.